And welcome back to Nancy's Neighborhood, folks. And it's good to be back with you. And today is Library Day. And you know how we do that? I have Mr. Hunt on the first Wednesday of every month so he can tell you everything that's going to happen at the library this month if we have time. And you know, sometimes we run out of time. He's over there shaking his head, yes. But we're going to try to get to it. And also today we have Claudia and Reynolds, such a simple. Claudia Reynolds, and she is the volunteer coordinator for the library, and she's going to tell all of you all how you can help in volunteer situations. So welcome, Cleveland Library.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Always good to have you. Always. So movies. Start with movies this month because you've had some really good ones.
Claudia is also, besides being a volunteer coordinator, she's adult programming.
Oh, okay.
So the movie is there a movie?
I have not actually planned one yet for this month. We are contemplating doing something fall-oriented
Oh, good.
and then maybe sliding into Halloween. I'm sure Harry Potter will make an appearance somewhere.
Yes, I would assume so.
We just got finished with doing musicals for the summer reading program. So I think now we're going to deviate a little bit and go into fall-related and that kind of thing.
And I had already seen it, but the one that you did, Hugh Jackman.
Yes.
Yes, The
Greatest
Showman.
Showman.
Oh,
It was so good.
that was awesome. I hope you had a good crowd for that.
Well, we had a little bit more than usual.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. And I don't think people understand these are free,
They are.
and they're first-rate movies, and they're in the community room, and we try to tell people about them so that they know. So now that we've talked about the movies, what else?
There's another movie coming up.
Okay.
And you know how we have it listed as a children's tweens movie?
Yes.
But I think there is interest for all ages, too. It's called A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh, my goodness,
And
yes.
it's Madeline L'Engle, the movie based upon her novel. And it's going to be Sunday. It's the fourth Sunday. It's the tween movie matinee. It's at 1:30 p.m., and it's in the community room.
And I think that's awesome. And I remember reading A Wrinkle in Time years ago. And so that would probably be a good refresher course for me. But I understand it's a really good movie.
It is.
And again, free, and y'all do popcorn?
I believe we do popcorn.
I think that's awesome. Okay, so now we know that there's a movie coming the last Sunday, the fourth Sunday in September.
Right.
Because there are 5 Sundays in September, the fourth Sunday. Okay.
And the fifth Sunday, just might as well start that off,
Okay.
too. We will be closed. We do reserve it. Have to close the library sometime when there's no one there to do special cleaning, carpet
understand.
cleaning, and everything. So we're going to be closing that fifth Sunday.
Okay, and I understand that because that's a big building.
It's over 40,000 square feet.
I mean,
so
it's awesome. The annex there that you go across, I had never seen anything like it. I mean, it's just huge, and it just keeps going.
that's right.
So, all right, so tell us what's happening this month at the library.
Well, there is a program coming up this Sunday. It's a genealogy program. We've been trying to do emphasizing we have a wonderful history branch and
Yes.
archives at the Johnston Tucker Center, which is the library building across the street.
the street,
So
yes.
it's but we're trying to do some genealogy, intro to genealogy, and for more seasoned genealogists, some workshops that can help bring in special speakers. Well, this Sunday we have Marion Presswood, she's one of the Polk County's
Yes, she is.
historians and genealogists
I
there.
met her not long ago, and I was very impressed with what she knew at the Polk County Alumni Association.
And she's
Yeah.
very good. So she is presenting a workshop. It's called "What I Have Learned from Soap Opera Families." It sounds like that could be some of you who really love soap operas. This could be interesting.
It could be very interesting.
and I know it has some practical tie-ins
Yes.
to
but I could kind of
the
see
average
where we might be
genealogist.
going. Yes, with that.
So
right.
that's going to be taking place at the History Branch and Archives at 2:30 p.m. this Sunday.
This coming Sunday.
Yes, and that's one of the ones I wanted to definitely mention. We also have the Friends of the Library is another, when we're talking about volunteer organizations.
Right.
They're one of the volunteer organizations that do a lot for the library as far as money raising, friend raising, a variety of things.
Yes.
They have what's called a continuous auction. Right in the lobby, there's a locked case, and it has books that may be of a rarer nature, and it's a bid. You can bid on the different items in that case, and I think it changes periodically. Winners, it says, the Friends of the Library is hosting a continuous silent auction of rare and antique books during the library hours. Books will change each month. Follow on Facebook for a peek at available titles. And it says visit the display in the circulation foyer to place a bid. In the notebook that's provided, it's on a stand, and then all the proceeds help the library.
And I think that's awesome. And we talk about Friends of the Library Association, and we shorten that to FOLA. Every once in a while, I say something about FOLA, so that's what I'm talking about. And I know those rare and antique books, I was in New Orleans years ago and found one that related to my brother's, the family he married into, their business when it started. And I bought it for like $5 or something, gave it to him for Christmas, and he was thrilled to death, but his in-laws were really thrilled to death because they'd never seen the book before. It was about Lambert Brothers and how the rock quarries got started. So those things are interesting, and I think that's great that y'all are doing that.
So, and besides that, there's their annual ongoing book sale.
Right.
You walk past the circulation desk and through the double doors, over to the right, there is the used book sale. And again, all the money from that any money that's raised goes to the children's room to help either purchase more books or for children's programming.
And I think that's awesome. And I've got a box of books that I need. And if somebody brings them to donate, do they just bring them there to the desk, the front desk? Okay.
And again, there's some things, if you have old encyclopedias, you'd like to think every book gets used, but in this day and age, there's some things we have to just toss. Or if
That's right.
if they're smelling musty, or they have bugs. I hate to say,
I know.
Little silverfish crawling.
Right.
Not
good.
Anyway,
Not good.
but we do. Those books that we used books that we get go a long way, and a lot of the used books that are donated, they're lightly read, and sometimes they're added to the library's collection for other people to read.
Wow.
So
And that's good.
it's
well,
great, yeah.
now,
Don't forget the library.
my taste in books is kind of eclectic. We've discussed that. So I have some books, but most of them are paperbacks. And then also you said magazines.
Yes, magazines. Like a lot of magazines are very sellable, and they raise a lot of money too. So
That's very good. So people need to be aware of that, and they can donate those to
Absolutely.
the library.
and friends of the library. When we're talking about friends, I mentioned them before, but it's such an important organization to what
Yes,
the
it
library
is.
does, and they do different programs, fundraising events. We were talking before we began about the
Yes.
play that we had a year ago, October, I
was
think
wonderful.
it was, and it's going to be happening again. It may not be until later next summer. But
Well,
anyway,
and you can talk about that
that's right.
in whatever
We'll
month
get
that is.
close to
Yes.
that. But Friends of the Library is a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to supporting the Cleveland Bradley County Public Library. And they accomplish it by promoting advocacy and volunteerism at the library, raising money through memberships and the Book Nook, the used sale, author events. Sometimes we bring in author nights and have special
Yes.
authors speak, and then that is a fundraiser. And I think and various fundraisers held during the calendar year. So how do you become a member? I think there is a link actually on our website. The page, it says Living My Library. There's a scrolling
Okay.
bar across the top of the library's webpage, and you look for that, and there's a way to actually join. You click on that banner, and then it'll bring up some information. I think there's a link in that, and so you become there's several ways you can become involved in the Friends of the Library. Become a member for $10, and it is an individual membership, and then your membership helps support our programs and entitles you to a newsletter, and then you can also, I think there's family memberships, I believe, too. And then there's also lifetime memberships. I think there's several different types of
Well,
them.
I know I'm a member, and I think since I'm a member now, I think they mail me something every year to renew my membership.
Right.
So, which is nice. And for $10, I mean, I think that's awesome.
I think that we try to give some benefits to the to full members that are So I think right now I can't remember them all, but I know there are some.
But there are benefits.
Knowing
Okay.
that you're helping the library along
Right,
progress.
that's a benefit.
It's a wonderful volunteering. Is a wonderful way that the Friends of the Library have helped support different programs at the library and additional support like summer reading program. They give money to help the summer reading program. They help sometimes as a volunteering hands at the women Teddy Bear Picnic. It's
Oh,
not,
yeah,
It's not
okay.
necessarily a library event
Right,
anymore,
that's
but it's a
Junior
wonderful
Auxiliary
Junior
does-
Auxiliary
yes.
is a wonderful organization that does it. But the Friends of the Library, I think, have also provide extra hands. And
I think that's
so
awesome.
but there are a lot of different volunteer things that they do. But anyway, just if you're looking for a way to help the library, that is another practical way to do it.
Right. And Claudia can tell us how, if someone should want to volunteer, what do they need to do?
You just need to go by circulation and ask anyone working the front desk if you can have a volunteer application.
Oh, okay.
It's very simple. It's front and back. Turn it back into any of the people at the desk there, and I review it, I check the reference, and then I will be getting in touch.
And I'm quite sure, and I hate it that we're to that stage in our civilization, but you do have to check everybody out if
We
they're going to
do.
be dealing with children or youth.
We do. If it's going to be dealing with the children in the children's department, I have to run a felony background check. I also have to have at least 2 references, non-relative.
And that's, to me, that's awful that we've gotten there, but
It
we have
is.
gotten there. And so now we just need to realize that we're there, and everybody hope that you've got a clean record. So if you
Yes.
want to volunteer, you can volunteer. And so roughly how many volunteers do you have?
We average around about 75 to
Oh, my
80.
goodness. Okay, that's fantastic. And so you have a job for every one of them?
We do, and I've sort of worked out, I guess, a plan. Usually when they come in, the first thing we teach them how to do is shelf read, because that's sort of the foundation for everything they're going to be learning. And shelf reading is just going through and looking at books, making sure they're in order, pulling them to the front of the shelf so that the appearance is nice. From there, we usually go, if they do well and they want to continue, we go to actually shelving, putting the books away from the carts. And then from there, they usually go to working the help desk or even helping behind the circulation desk, which, it may sound sort of like that's a lot of build up to something that's not that big a deal, but circulation deals a lot with very private information because of what is maintained on the patron records from the library applications and even for a card. So you want to make sure that people know how to operate the system and, not give out someone's information inadvertently.
Yes.
Also, we had a situation where someone who had not been trained took it upon themselves to check books in and did not check some in, and we had a patron who had a book that was out for 2 months that actually was not out.
Oh,
And she
okay.
was accumulating fines, so we try to prevent those situations before they ever occur. So that's the reason for kind of making sure you know what you're doing
Great
and
idea.
increasing the level of responsibility. I also get a lot of people from the local schools. From Lee University is great to work with us.
Service hours.
Yes. Also Cleveland State. Right now, we are looking desperately for someone to do a bilingual storytelling hour
Oh, yeah.
for preschool. It's the preschool story
Yes.
time. And it's only half an hour. It's 1 day a week. But we can't seem to find anyone who's
And
bilingual
we
in
had
English
someone
and Spanish.
prior to.
Well, I was
and it
thinking that y'all
was-
offered
it
that.
was- but then the person, unfortunately, she had to stop. But it
Right.
really had drawn a group of people, and we'd like to see if we can find someone that, yeah.
Right.
Please get into contact with Claudia.
And that's, and y'all have a website.
We do. We do. And they can always call the library and ask for me. They'll be connected to my office. They can also reach me through email at creynolds@clevelandlibrary.org.
.org. We always remember that .org. Yes.
But that's pretty much where we are now, what we do. During summer reading and sometimes when we're doing extra programming, I might have a few more volunteers come up and set chairs up or maybe just help with the heavy lifting and that kind of thing. But we will find something for you to do.
And that's wonderful. That's wonderful because there's nothing that a volunteer hates worse than to just sit around
Right.
with nothing to do.
Well, and all those positions, some of them sound not as much, but it's stuff that if I had enough staff, we would be doing it ourselves
Right.
too.
That's-
so
yes.
it really helps fill a void at the library.
Absolutely,
So important to
absolutely.
the library's operation.
And I know, and I think I've told Andrew this before, my mother used to do this story called The Fourth Wise Man, and I don't know what happened to her book. And so I called the library, and yes, you all had it. And so I said, well, I'd like to check it out. And they said, okay. And so you can find it. somebody had shelved it, but it was just a little tiny book,
Right.
but it had been shelved somewhere wrong. But someone found it for me, so that was great. And so I did that as a Sunday school lesson, after Christmas sometime. So anyway, so you've got a lot of great things going on. Now, I know you have.
A few more things. Yep.
Yes, I know you have all kinds of children's
Absolutely.
activities and everything else that's going on. Yes.
Well, and also, sort of in line with what you were saying, if you ever, you've checked out a book and you said, hey, and you get an overdue notice, we try to check on the shelf before a notice actually is sent out. But if perchance you get a notice and you said, I know I returned that, just call the desk. We will take a look. We'll go to the shelves to make sure, and, we'll find it.
Right.
We'll look for it. So, just make sure.
Absolutely. And we start at birth at the library and do things on up through teens, tweens, and all of
Absolutely.
that stuff. And adults.
That's right.
So tell us some things that are happening.
Children's events coming up. Baby bookworms. Again, that's we have several programs for the young children. Baby bookworms and wiggleworms. Baby bookworms is for age birth to 3, and again, stories, music, and fun. That happens twice a day. It's every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. And it's it's Thursdays the 6th, 13th, 20th, 27th.
Oh, every
You can go.
Thursday, not just
the only
once a
thing that
month,
might
it's
throw
every
that off.
Thursday.
The things that might throw that off: holidays,
Yes.
or unusual library closing, or summertime. Sometimes summertime events for children's are restructured a little bit.
Yes.
So, preschool story time is something that happens every Tuesday and Friday morning at 10:30 a.m. And it's, again, lively story times with music and crafts and movement for ages 3 to 5.
Okay.
So, midday build. Again, this is something for Legos. And actually, the other day, I think there was a nice crowd in there. So there were some building a park, and then there were some that were building.
Get really ambitious
Yes,
with
yeah.
that.
There were some neat
And this
building
is at
projects going
noon?
on. Yes, at
And
12:15.
you still have a crowd that comes at noon.
Periodically, you'll get.
Wow.
Well, you have homeschoolers. You have a variety of different.
I'm sorry, I
groups that
forget
are
that.
there.
Yes, yes.
And and then just come by if you're needing stress relieving. You'll see some creativity. You go,
And it's for all ages.
yes, right.
Okay. Very good.
And that at 12:15, right at close to noon. Family story times happens every Saturday at 2 p.m. So you're all up on a Saturday and you're looking
Yes.
for a way to get out of the house. The library is a great place to come and visit.
And especially this winter.
Right.
They're going to be looking for places.
And another reason to come in the library, this September is Library Card Month. You need to come in and get it. If you don't have a library card, that's one of your essential cards. I think of it like a credit card. A library card is.
Can they expire? Because I
Access to
think mine
information.
has.
Well, they expire, but it gives us the opportunity to just check your,
Okay.
make sure your address is still correct. But we'll renew it.
Okay, that's good because
Easily so.
I need to stop by.
So don't
there
throw
and
your
visit.
card away if you
I
do.
don't. I'm not sure I can find my card. I think that's the problem.
Well, we can work you that.
Okay, that's good.
And so Wiggleworms takes place on Mondays. Every Monday at 3 p.m. It is a program similar to Bookworms, but it has a little different structure. Wiggleworms is a baby program that targets children 2 and younger. So maybe a little younger.
okay.
You might have a little more percentage of kids that are younger than the baby bookworms do.
I got you.
Guardians will be listening to babies and guardians will listen to stories, rolling and bouncing. There's a lot more movement with that.
yes,
this
and there
program,
should be
Wiggleworms.
at that
And
age.
Wiggleworms
Yes.
might be the
Yes.
idea that gives that idea. Lego Junior, Lego Club Junior.
Right.
And this is again time for the ages 4 to 7 to do Lego projects.
And this is after school
yes,
hours. Yes.
at 4:30 p.m.
4:30. On what days?
That's the third Tuesday.
Okay, third Tuesday.
Third
Lego.
Tuesday.
Okay.
The fourth Sunday, we already mentioned the movie
Right.
for the Wrinkle in Time. We have Tweens. We have the STEAM program, and that happens the second Thursday of the month. And what they're doing, let's see, it says hands-on at 4:30 p.m. So that's going to be September 13th.
Okay.
Hands-on science, technology, engineering, arts, or math, or a combination of components of different components for ages 6 to 12. Moon rover activity.
Ooh.
And they asked to please sign up if you're planning on coming.
Okay.
So we make sure we have enough materials for that
To do a
program.
moon road.
So please call up. You can call call the children's desk, or call 472-2163 extension 124.
Look at our new apparatus there.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Is it down already?
Yes. Alex is in there doing jumping jacks, and I know.
I just can't believe.
But we have been so informative today.
Yes.
I think it's been wonderful. So I'm thrilled to death. Yes, and Adrian's going to fix that again. But they've got this clock, so I can tell. But I told them I thought they needed to earn their money and do jumping jacks in there and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, thank you all so much for being
you.
on. I hope you have several volunteers, because I know there's some people out there that are retired that are looking for something to do, and it might just be
Absolutely.
1 hour a week or something. And these little wiggle worms need to wiggle.
Absolutely.
So thank you all so much, and
Thank
I'll
you.
see you in October. And I'm sure there'll be quite a few things in the library going on for
yes.
October.
I believe so.
Okay. Very
And
good.
you know, I kid people because sometimes I get the college students, and they're like, "Please don't make me shelf read. It's so boring." That's my stress relief.
Yes. And people don't understand, but
No,
it
no,
does.
I will come
Absolutely.
down when I I
And-
just need to get
right.
out of the office.
That's right. Absolutely.
I'll come down. I shelf read. I think we all shelf
yes,
read.
we
Well,
do.
yeah, and you
So-
probably have to. Thanks, folks. So
Thank
much.
you.
Folks, don't go away. I'll be back with a few things to tell you about the weekend of the 8th, because there's a lot of things happening. So don't go away. Watch our sponsors, support them, because they pay our bills, and I'll be right back.